Greetings, gorgeous ghouls and freaky fiends. Next up on the Horrific Review is the 1986 horror comedy Troll. Troll was released on January 17, 1986 and was rated PG-13. Our story begins as the Potter family moves into an apartment complex. The father, Harry Potter...
I'm Harry Potter.
No, not that one. Harry Potter is played by Michael Moriarty. Harry announces that he is going out to pick up some rat burgers from the joint down the street.
I saw a rat burger joint around the corner.
His wife, Anne Potter, played by Shelley, is not a fan of the name.
I wish you wouldn't call them rat burgers in front of the kids.
Anne continues to move boxes into the house and tells her son Harry Potter Jr. to keep an eye on his sister.
Oh, Mom, she's a pain in the ass.
You may recognize Harry Potter Jr. from his previous role as Atreyu in The Neverending Story. Then, in true Carl Grimes fashion...
Carl! Where's Carl? Carl!
Wendy, where are you?
His sister, Wendy Anne, played by Jenny Beck, roams off and gets herself into some major trouble. She is overpowered by a troll named Torok, who with the power of a magical ring is able to take on the form of Wendy Anne. Harry Jr. searches for his sister in the basement.
Have you been playing with dead cats?
And gets angry when she sneaks up and scares him.
I got you.
Did not.
I did too.
Harry Sr. arrives home with dinner, and Wendy Anne is introduced to her very first rat burger. She is confused at first.
What's that?
Good stuff, honey.
But then devours it like an animal and runs off with the remaining burgers.
Hey, bring back those rat burgers.
Harry Jr. chases after her, and soon after they leave the room, the Potters hear the fire alarm. They leave the apartment to see what's going on. When the Potters open their front door, their upstairs neighbor, Peter Dickinson, is knocked down the stairs by the children. Peter is played by Sonny Bono, best known for the Sonny and Cher show.
I don't know if all that's true, but you got me and baby, I got you.
Peter is then assaulted by Wendy Anne, who is starving for more rat burgers. Peter then explains to Harry that he is a swinger, and that he is not pleased that having children downstairs will put a damper on his ability to score.
Did you get me, Harry boy?
He storms into Harry's apartment and slams the door, and then realizes he's in the wrong apartment.
Shit!
Next up, we have Barry Tabor, aka Duke, a retired Marine lieutenant played by Gary Sandy.
Some people think I look like John Wayne.
We also have William Daniels, played by Brad Hall, and Jeanette Cooper, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who you may recognize from the comedy series Seinfeld. Next, we meet Eunice St. Clair, the feisty old lady of the apartment complex.
Who set off the goddamn fire alarm?
Eunice is played by June Lockhart, who is definitely a veteran of playing motherly roles. She played the mother Ruth Martin in the Lassie TV series, and also played the mother Maureen Robinson in the Lost in Space TV series. Eunice passes by the neighbors to tell the fire department it's a false alarm.
Well, somebody ought to tell that hook and ladder truck outside my window that it's a false alarm.
To everyone's relief, the alarm turns off. Harry returns to his apartment where he is greeted by Wendy Anne, who is acting like a rabid wild animal.
I'm Godzilla!
In the morning, Anne and Harry are finishing up the unpacking and getting ready for breakfast. Wendy Anne tries to sleep in, but is awakened by the noise in the upstairs apartment. Apparently, Petey Boy got lucky the night before and dances to celebrate his sexual conquest. He then insults his girl by telling her to make him some pancakes. As you can probably guess, this infuriated her.
Why don't you go jump in a lake?
Wendy Anne wakes up and ventures into the kitchen and is confused by the milk being so cold. Harry Jr. gets up to see if she is okay, to which she responds violently. Harry's parents ask what's going on in the kitchen, and he lies and says he tripped. Wendy leaves the room, proud of what she's done. She heads up to Peter's apartment and passes his girl as she makes her walk of shame. Wendy Anne then makes herself at home in Peter's apartment and begins to play a game of hide and seek with him. When he finds her behind the couch, she's not quite what he expects.
Holy shit!
Wendy transforms into Torok and shanks Peter with her ring. Peter then transforms into a forest-dwelling fairy. As he transforms, he looks very similar to Weird Al Yankovic in the I'm Fat video. Harry roams the hallway to try to find his sister. He knocks on Eunice's door and asks if he can come in.
Can I come in? I think I'm gonna throw up.
Well, how can I resist an offer like that?
While Harry is tossing his cookies, Torok, in the form of Wendy Anne, admires her new fairyland companions. Eunice is cold at first,
Well, did you pop your cookies?
but warms up a bit when Harry confides in her that he's scared. She introduces herself and lets him know he is always welcome in her home. Next, we see Wendy Anne playing ball outside and ends up running into the street. She is nearly hit by a car but is saved by a man of small stature named Malcolm.
You should be more careful.
Wendy is amazed by his appearance and questions if he is an elf. They introduce themselves and learn they both live in the same apartment complex. Malcolm is played by Phil Fondacaro. Phil also plays the part of Torok the Troll and throughout his career has played many memorable characters, including an Ewok from Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, Greaser Greg from the Garbage Pail Kids movie, Abbott Graves from Sideshow,
And there's more. Oh, yes, there's more, much more.
Dracula from Deformed Monsters, Cousin It from Addams Family Reunion, and a hooded dwarf from Phantasm 2. Meanwhile, in the Potter apartment, Harry Jr. watches TV. His mother comes in to send him to the store for some milk and tells him Wendy Anne is having a little friend over for dinner. As Wendy Anne sits in her room, she looks out the window and sees Duke admiring himself in a car window. We then see her in Torok form. Wendy Anne then enters Duke's apartment and makes herself at home. She asks him an odd question for a little girl to ask.
What does death look like?
Duke is unsure how to answer and ends up getting thrown across the room by Wendy Anne, who then reveals her Torok form. Duke grabs a gun and shoots Torok, but he is unscathed. Harry Jr. returns with the milk and hears screaming. He rushes to the door, but it's locked, and no one hears his knocks due to Harry Sr. blaring his music. Wendy Anne leaves Duke's apartment and attacks Harry Jr. with her ring. She then tells her father that Harry fell down outside and he went to sleep. Harry Sr. picks up Harry and carries him to his bed to recuperate. Harry Jr. assures his father that he'll be okay, but asks that he tell Wendy Anne not to enter his room, and explains if he is sick, he doesn't want her to get sick as well. Harry Jr. then pulls out his portable TV and watches an old sci-fi movie.
In reality, it's a Martian.
You mean?
Yes, our dog is a pod person from the planet Mars.
Anne and Wendy Anne prepare the table for the arrival of Wendy Anne's little friend. Harry Sr. then leaves the room to answer the door.
Hello.
When he opens the door, he realizes her little friend is not what he expected and is actually a
Professor of English.
As they eat dinner, Wendy Anne has Malcolm recite the Fairy Queen. As he does, the fairies of the complex celebrate with a song and a bit of a dance. The party is interrupted by Eunice blowing up her horn.
Well, I guess that ought to give those little suckers something to think about.
The next morning, the Potters gather at the table for breakfast. Wendy Anne gets in touch with her inner brat and steals Harry Jr.'s juice.
Now it's mine.
When she is scolded, she defiantly spills the juice on the floor. Harry orders her to her room, but she ignores him. He then picks her up and she snarls at him. Harry Jr. butts in to defuse the situation and says he doesn't care about the juice and that he promised Eunice he would eat with her. When Harry Jr. meets with Eunice, he questions her if she is a witch.
What of it?
And why is she here?
I'm here because I have to be.
We then see Jeanette in her apartment. She answers her door and finds Wendy Anne holding flowers that she picked for her. She hands Jeanette the flowers and lets herself in. Jeanette makes small talk for a bit, but then tells Wendy Anne that she has an audition today. Meanwhile, back in Eunice's apartment, Eunice tells Harry that in the past she was a princess.
A real princess? No, a phony one. Of course a real princess.
And that she fell in love with a wizard named Torok, and that since they were going to be married, she studied magic so they would have something in common.
With a great old man named Galwin.
Harry inquires if she can teach him to be a magician. Eunice says she could, but she's not sure if she will have time.
Why not? You going somewhere?
I don't know, kiddo.
Harry tells Eunice he believes his sister is an alien.
She looks like my sister. She acts like my sister. She even sounds like my sister, but...
But?
She's an alien. It's like she's a pod person from the planet Mars.
Close. But no cigar.
She asks when she started acting strangely and learned it started on Witch's Sabbath, the time when all the denizens of the unknown cavort.
Party hardy, Harry.
Eunice tells Harry Jr. that his sister is not an alien, but something much, much worse. The whole transformation will take 72 hours, so they don't have much time, and she tells him to go keep an eye on his sister. Meanwhile, back at Jeanette's apartment, William knocks on her door and is met by Malcolm. He explains that Jeanette was supposed to meet him 30 minutes ago, but didn't show up. William rings the bell, but no one answers. Malcolm goes back to his apartment, and when he is gone, Jeanette's door opens by itself. William enters and sees that the apartment has become a fairy forest and hears Jeanette giggling. William finds Jeanette and she mischievously runs away, so he has to chase her. She runs in circles and ends up leading him to Torok. In the hallway, Malcolm is locked out of his apartment, or so he thinks. Wendy Anne greets him and tells him the door isn't locked and walks into his apartment. Malcolm gets her some juice and she notices him limping and asks if he is okay. He shrugs it off and tries to change the subject, but she persists, and he admits that he is sick and dying. She questions if he ever wished he was an elf, and he admits he did when he was a child. Torok happily sneaks from behind a chair to make Malcolm's childhood wish come true. We then see Eunice in the hallway knocking on all the tenants' doors, only to find out that everyone is missing. The last apartment she checks is Harry's. He answers the door and she bewitches him and convinces him to research what day the Hiroshima bomb was dropped in an attempt to keep him safe in his apartment. Later on, we see the Potters at the dinner table as Harry Jr. relentlessly watches his sister.
Great dinner, Mom.
Harry Sr. tries to get Harry Jr. to ease up by asking him to get him some coffee. When he does, he takes his eyes off of Wendy Anne for a second, and in that split second, she makes the burner the coffee pot is on burst into flames. Okay, so maybe not quite that dramatic, but still pretty cool. Wendy Anne taunts Harry Jr. and asks what happened.
What happened, Harry?
But he is convinced she already knows. A large troll-like creature then tries to enter Eunice's apartment, but she scares it away with her magical laser-shooting harpoon.
Buzz off, you little creeps.
We then see Harry Jr. later in the evening, lying in his bed, haunted by Torok's shadow. He looks and sees Wendy Anne at first, and then Torok in his troll form, and then back to Wendy Anne.
Night, night.
When Harry awakes in the morning, his sister is missing, so he leaves the apartment to find her. He hears monstrous noises from the first apartment door, and then is hit by a gust of wind. Fear not for our young hero. This is not the first time battling high winds. As he battles the wind to get to Eunice's apartment, fairyland vegetation breaches the doorway and grows out of control into the hallway. Harry reaches her apartment and tells her he saw Wendy Anne in her monster form. Eunice shows him a picture of Torok the troll, and he confirms that's what he saw.
That Harry, my boy, is a troll.
She then shows him an old picture of herself and Torok in human form.
End the chatter and listen up.
She explains that a very long time ago there were fairies and humans. The heads of both decided that everything would need to be equal and no one side could rule the other. That did not sit well with Torok and some of the fairies. They wanted to control the world, and in turn, there was a great war. The humans won and the rebel fairies were condemned to darkness. Torok was turned into a troll for all eternity. But now he has vowed his revenge and still wants to rule the world with his army. This is the reason Eunice is here, to stop him.
That's my job, kiddo.
Torok has been transforming sections of the building to different fairy worlds, and when he has succeeded in transforming them all, a single fairy universe will be formed within the apartment complex. The universe will be filled with all of his old fairy pals. When it's done, the fairy universe will burst forth like a fourth dimension. Harry asks about Wendy Anne, and Eunice tells him she is still alive. She tells him that when Torok wipes out humanity, he will save one token specimen, a fair-haired maiden that will serve as the princess of the fairies. Torok has 3 days to complete his universe, or else the window will close.
Listen up, kid. We're getting right down to the wire here.
There are only 2 apartments left, Harry's and Eunice's. Eunice gives Harry Jr. one of her magical swords and tells him he will need to plunge it deep into Torok's universe. Harry asks where he can find that, and she tells him that Torok has always been a little melodramatic, so she tells him to look for the biggest, most powerful creature he can find.
It'll be mean, it'll be ugly, and it will not be glad to see you.
Harry leaves and Eunice decides to let her hair down and magically transforms into a younger version of herself. Literally. The young version of Eunice is played by her real-life daughter, Anne Lockhart. Eunice leaves her apartment and enters the wind tunnel in the stairway to battle her old love.
All right, my love. Once more, for old time's sake.
Meanwhile, in the Potter apartment, Harry Jr. sits waiting with his magical laser stick. His father asks, what's he waiting for?
A stray dragon?
Oh. Oh, that's...
We then see Eunice enter a fairy-infested apartment. The wind makes her hair engulf her face, and she gets annoyed and yells to stop it.
Oh, stop it!
Yes, bitch!
Eunice calls for Torok to show himself as she roams deeper into the fairyland apartment. A gigantic fairy creature sneaks up on her and takes her magic harpoon.
Damn!
She barely escapes and is attacked by an army of fairies as she runs to her apartment. There, she is met by Torok, who uses his ring to fight her. Harry Jr. senses something is wrong and heads to Eunice's apartment. When he opens the door, he sees that Eunice has been transformed into a tree. She is still able to speak and tells him to go save his sister. Harry heads further into her apartment, which is now a fairy world. Meanwhile, back in the Potter apartment, Anne and Harry Sr. hear weird noises. Anne opens the front door and is greeted by a bunch of fairies and quickly closes the door.
Honey.
Harry Sr. then opens the door and is greeted by Eunice the tree, who yells at him.
Shut that damn door!
Harry Jr. continues deeper into the fairy world in search of his sister and hears beastly growling. He finds his sister in a magically sealed clear casket. He can't open it by hand, so he tries touching it with the magical harpoon Eunice gave him, and the casket opens. As he pulls her out of the casket, a huge fairy beast begins to chase him. As this is going on, the entire apartment complex begins to shake like it's been struck by an earthquake. Forest vines begin growing out of the top and the sides of the buildings and is witnessed by a growing crowd of people outside. Harry and Wendy Anne run from the beast, who begins to throw boulders at them both. The beast reaches for Wendy Anne, and Harry Jr. steps in between them and gets launched out of the way. Torok sees this and doesn't want his fairy princess harmed.
Oh, no, not the girl!
So he throws the magic dagger into the beast and destroys it, as well as the other fairies. Harry Jr. and Wendy escape and run back to their apartment. Torok runs into Eunice and she laughs at him.
Gotcha!
The Potters leave the apartment and everything appears to be normal. They pack the car to leave and young Eunice passes Harry and tells him he did a good job.
Hey, you did pretty good in there.
The police instruct Harry Sr. to head to the police station to fill out a report. The police do a final sweep of the apartment complex. One of the officers checks the basement and ends up being sucked into a fairy universe. The review of Troll 2 coming soon. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to stab that subscribe button and slash that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. I have included an affiliate link to purchase a copy of the full movie in the description below. By using the link, you are not only helping to keep this channel alive, but you can also sleep better knowing that you have made a donation to the Positively Perfect Animal Shelter via the Amazon Smile charity program. So what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
See you soon.